Well, here's a nice little orthographic drawing that's both easy and tricky at the same time. Now, if we have a quick little look at it here, we can see the actual shape itself is not super complex, but it's tilted. All right, and when we draw this, remember this is one of our axes, so it's going to be it's not going to be sitting alongside our normal isometric axis. So if you think of this one, it's going to be looking something like this. All right, coming up on that, cross and then down. So we need to figure out how to put that all together. Now this is one of those ones where we actually do need to draw the plan and the elevation, because we need these distances here, from there to there and there to there. But it's an easy drawing, so we'll go stick it up here at the top of the page. Right, not particularly high, so I'm going to stick it up towards the top of my page. And when I'm drawing something like this, of course I don't have this measurement, so I'm going to pick this point here and then go off and draw the plan first. So we'll just take a little line, we'll take a center line here. There we go. And we'll pick the point there. So it goes down at 86. So there's my construction line. And let's measure 86 along that. Just beyond my construction line. There we go. Okay. Now the nice thing about this is it's going to be pretty easy to put together because it is a square base. So it just comes back to the line here, up and across. You could of course have gone straight across there, whichever really works for you. Okay, so let's send this up. And we'll draw that in elevation. So we need 10, a 40 and a 10. So if you see here, we're just going to measure up these distances here, mark it off, and then we have another bit of information about that 45. Grand. 10. That brings it up to 40, and that's my final 10. I'm just going to send a construction line across for these two guys. I can see from the lower one here, all I really need to do is go up by 45. Just send it up this way for the moment. And is it stopping there? It is indeed, yep. So I can pop that in heavy. And it goes vertically upwards from there, which of course we can see in the plan there. All right, same on this side. And we'll just finish this shape off. Okay. Usually in a question you might be told to draw the plan, the elevation, in which case you got to finish it. But to be honest, for the sake of a couple seconds and really clearly seeing your shape and not making a mistake, probably worth finishing it. Okay, so that's that. That's not so bad. It is off camera, apologies for that. But now we've fixed it, you can see where we're going. All right, big guy. So we're going to put our scale here, and then we're going to try and put our drawing over here. So we'll stick our scale in right beside that. Just come there. All right, that's true. And of course our isometric scale is at 30 degrees. So there we have it there. Scaled. Now, let's get our measurements. So I'm just going to put this like that so I can line them up nicely. And up. Okay, it's a little tight on the page, but we've got it all kind of tucking in here fairly nicely. So what we want to do first of all, let's get that overall crate to make sure everything's working. Now, what I need to find is the distance right up along here. Of course, there's a heavy line there, but if we just mark that off, it What's that distance from there down along here? Okay, so we'll call that H. Let's find that, and then I need to scale it. So what we'll do is we'll take this compass, mark it off there, stick it in our scale. Don't know what measure it is, I don't care, but I do know that it's the total height. Okay, well, kind of width would have been a better one, but hey, look, we live and learn in hindsight. Now let's get our camera settled down. Again, once you have a little idea of what it is, that's all that really matters. So we'll scale it, and I'll also need a scale 60, so I'll get that at the same time. Okay. And it's nice because at least it's the same on both sides. So there we go. That's also the same as this because it's a square. So we'll pop that on. There and there. And we'll get our scale 60. So now we'll have a crate, and that'll make it much easier to manage this. Okay. Take this out above it. Makes it a bit neater. And we just get our, just by moving around the set square, again, don't go measuring these, you're only making work for yourself. And you'd run a significant risk of introducing errors into it as well. So it's not just be a lazy thing. Now, this looks like it's quite high on my page. Let's see how we get on with this. There we go. So we do fit. Let's see if we fit in camera. Sorry, as you can see, we're having a lot of fun with sun today. So it's in and out a little bit. All right, there we go. So I'll leave the exposure locked in that top corner. Okay, so this is going to be the front. All right, so I've got that little dot going in there. So I wouldn't mind knowing what that height is there. So let's go see what it's going to be. Okay, I call that H1. We'll call this one here H2. Okay, this one just off camera, but now you can see it. It's a day of juggling. Fabulous. So that's it there. Again, we just go and find out what that is. There's of course half H1, but it's kind of handy to do this. Just over 60. Interesting. That's H2. Not 60, it's a little bit higher than it, but it is a bit bigger. So we'll go and scale that. It's a little bit bigger. There we have it. And you can just double check that actually is a little bit off there, isn't it? So we do seem to have a slight mismatch. Again, it's always handy to kind of do that double check because those two should be the same. So let's just see what might have gone on. So the first thing that comes to mind is that that line wasn't as straight. So I'm actually going to double check this with measurements here. That is 122. And that is 61. Okay. Let's check our scale ones. That's 100. And that's just over 50. So I think we might just have some very, very slight errors in this one here. Let's see if this transferred accurately. It did as 100. And that would make sense. Again, if you know your trigonometry, you may see that. But so if we have a look at this measurement, you can see it's actually just 51 each side. So it's just a very, very small inaccuracy. That's something that transferred on the compass. So what we'll do is we'll take it as a point in between them. There. Now that was not planned, but actually is a great way to get a bit of practice as to how can we check our things as we go. You'll see in these ones, it's very easy to make small errors in the thing, but when we have that distance either side, we can do a quick check on it, and it might flag an error somewhere else. Okay, so having solved that little mystery, we now do have these 2 points that we can work off. And they're my bottom edges. So let's, first of all, we'll project them up to the top. Now the reason I'm going up to the top, alright, those are full length edges, is that the top is definitely visible. So it's often a little bit easier to work with. Now in this one I'm going to see this edge here. So it's pretty clear. So we can heavy in this guy. Okay, of course, actually no, we're not going to see that one. We're going to see this one full height. So this one can come back a little bit. Well, how high will this one go? Let's find out. Now, before we do that, let's get the other ones in there. There we go. And we'll send this one across. Okay, so those are my 4 corners. Well, this one goes up by 10. 10's a bit annoying to work with. Okay, and I'm probably going to need a 40 as well. Now 10 has just gone slightly off camera, so we'll move up for the moment. We'll have a little look at it. Now, at this stage you may realise that 10 is approximately 8, it's a little bit more than 8, but we'll stick it down as an approximate 8 for the moment. Just gotta be careful of using too many of them. And there it is there. Okay, now, right, where are we going next? Well, let's have a little think about this. We're going to this point here. So it would be rather nice to find this. Now we know it's up another 40. What we actually might even do is take it as 50 from the bottom. There we go. It takes out any error associated with that 10. And it's a bigger measurement, so it's easier to work with. Okay, so it comes up now. What are we going to do with this here? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to make a line there. Okay, and we need to figure out where along this face it goes. And the nice thing is that height, if we bring across from this edge here, is going to be there. It's parallel to that bottom line. Alright, you could also come down and across. If you prefer, project around the slightly more normal way, around and back up like that. Okay, same point. So this is that bit, but of course the one we want is we're tracking across this face, because it's along this face that we're going to get that little moment. Now, so we've got to figure out where along this face. Well, there. So what we'll do, again, we could do it 2 different ways. We could come back this way, or we can go the length along it. There's not much in it really. I think I'll take the length along it because I have that line. So I'm going to go and get that length, call that D, just to bring a bit of variety into our letters and numbers. As you can see, I'm not getting too stressed over which way I choose this or which way I do it. There's loads of ways to get these guys. I'm just kind of tipping along ahead quite happily. Usually I find is if you get too complicated, you'll have spent more time, you'll have been quicker just doing it the long way than finding the optimal route. Okay, so that's D, and that goes along this edge here, because it's going along like that. So there we have it. Now, that edge, of course, actually really, it also comes along at this height. So let's see, can we bring this comes up. Now the really nice thing of this drawing is, because it's so symmetrical, that line happens to be horizontal, so you have it in your T-square. So they're being a bit nice to us. So now we're seeing the kind of shape that comes down here. Across, down, and that meets this. So this one is a bit trickier to visualize. All right, now let's finish the back of this. Well, we know that this one, the other edge is along there, and it also comes out to this point here, which again happens to be vertical, so we'll use that. So there we go. So now we have that little top edge. Well, let's do the same over here. Now we can do a nice little cheeky trick here, because we can just send these guys across, since the whole thing is symmetrical. I need to find that distance coming out, and what we'll do, again, there's a couple of ways we can do it. So one simple one would be to copy that distance and just place it there. That would build it up, and you know, we might just do that. That looks as handy. So we're using the symmetry in the drawing here. There we go. So this edge here, so now we have the top. What's going to happen next? Well, it comes down a little bit, and again, we could track this down. We might track it down just so we're kind of on the same path. We'll just send that across, and you know what, actually a far easier way to do it is send this one across and down. There we go. Now that's straight down, and that connects to that, which is also going to be straight down. So you can see we have a whole load of these straight down ones all the way down there. It's kind of annoying that straight down. It'd be a little bit more elegant if it wasn't, but no fear. So what else are we going to do? Well, this guy also comes straight down until it meets that edge. There we are. Now that got slightly butchered there when I did it. Something just went a bit off. So we'll just try and fix that up a little bit. There we go. So now we have that. Well, where else are we going to go? So these are two sloping faces. There is definitely a construction line across the base here. So what will we do to find out where that is? That comes down, it comes down from this height. So what we actually might do is come around from here, around here, and back. Down from the top, and a little bit more. And there we have it. So that is the end of that line. And that line will connect to this. So I just took this point, okay, straight across, because it's at that height, and then we went around the edge until we met it. It also happens to be straight down from that. Okay, so we have this. We'll pick that point, and we can just do heavy until it disappears. And we can do this line heavy until it disappears. All right, and there's our slightly weird shape.